welcome Mr. Slaid Cleaves.
Ricky got the quarters for the table and broke, while I pulled hard on the sorrow and smoke. Raising up my bottle, I looked for a chance as you set your glass down on the bar with a glance at me. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, shuffleboard and neon lights. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, cigarettes and whiskey tonight. Ricky said she's out of your league, let her go, as I watched you pick your partner on that old dance floor. I know it didn't work out the first time we tried, but I'd do anything to have you by my side again. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, peel the label off a Miller Lite. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, I sit here thinking about you every night. Were you the one who faltered? Was I the one who strayed? Maybe God left us out of the plans he made. So here's some misbeginnings and things that never start, for these are the ghosts that run around in my heart. When I see that where I'm going isn't where I wanna be, I get the urge to look you up, see if you would come and meet me. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, hey buddy, have you got a light? Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, just one more and I'll be alright. Everybody now. Off a Miller Lite. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge, I sit here thinking about you every night. Now don't try singing with your mouth full, I don't want that. Ricky got the quarters for the table and broke, while I pulled hard on the sorrow and smoke. Thank you. My drinking days are over, no more nights at the carousel. My buddies say they're gonna miss me, but who could ever tell? I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. I used to hang at the Horseshoe, you'd see me spinning at the Broken Spoke. I'd take some gal down to Green Hall, we lived on whiskey and smoke. Don't know how it all started, didn't mean to hurt no one. Some bad luck, what's done can't be undone. Well, it was way past midnight, and it hollered out, last call. I turned around and Wrangling Ron was headed for a brawl. I didn't know that other guy was a cop, I guess I didn't care. Sometimes you gotta act like you got a pair. That's what Wrangling Ron told me one night. I had lunch with Wrangling Ron a couple days ago. We got a brand new song we wrote together. We're gonna try it out for you tonight at the Mucky Duck. My drinking days are over, no more nights at the carousel. No more fights, no more neon lights, I guess it's just as well. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. Well, I gotta ride out to Huntsville, and I'll be there for a while, staring out a mesh window, mile after mile. I don't have any regrets, well, maybe just a few, but a man's gonna do what he's gonna do. My drinking days are over, no more nights at the carousel. My buddies say they're gonna miss me, they can go to hell. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. My drinking days are over. Oh, it's good to see you all. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving week, I guess. How long have you had your tickets for this show? Anybody had their tickets for about 14 months? Yeah. Thanks for waiting for us to get it together here, get my booster shots and everything. Yeah, it was 20 months at home. How many people were tuning into our live streams? Yeah, all right. Appreciate that so much. I think we're live streaming today as well on the Mucky Duck channel. Teresa's back there, manning the controls. Let's see. So, yeah, it's the Thanksgiving weekend show. I think we've been doing this 7 or 8 years, something like that. How many people been coming every year? A couple of you. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right. As you notice, I don't have Scrappy with me. Scrappy had another gig, and Chojo went on a vacation this week, and Michael O'Connor's out in the Northwest, so I don't have a side guy, which is very rare to play the solo show. So no guitar solos or fiddle playing or anything, but there's a little extra time because we don't play those solos, so it's time for 3 or 4 extra songs, so that's the trade-off there. Yeah, works out well. Do a couple songs off my latest record. Came out 4.5 years ago. Yeah, I know. I got songs in the pipeline. Like I said, we'll be doing a Houston debut of one of our new ones here. This is on my latest record called Hickory. The song is called Hickory, and it was picked up by a bluegrass band called the Po Ramblin' Boys. You ever heard of them? I guess bluegrass not real big in Houston, I guess. I was born in the shadows of a Tennessee mountain, in a slower and gentler time, in a cabin my grandfather built with his hands out of hickory, walnut, and pine. We hunted those hills, my father and I, so far from the bustle of town. But I'd soon see a whole way of life start to fade as the mines all began to shut down. I heard saws on the mountain, saw the trucks rumble by, filing past like a funeral line. Those big iron trailers were piled up high with hickory, walnut, and pine. Call it progress or a shame, well, you can't stop a train as it's barreling on down the line. They'll cut down the trees and name your new streets hickory, walnut, and pine. Well, the mountaintop's flat, the hickory's gone, and the streams run black as a curse. My father's been out in the barn more and more since the mining went bad and then worse. Well, I heard his old plane I heard his old saw, I heard his cough worsen with time. Now I stand where he lays in a box that he made out of hickory, walnut, and pine. Our children have left for the big city jobs. I'll remain my fate to unwind. And I'll dream of the days when the wind called my name through hickory, walnut, and pine. Call it progress or a shame. Well, you can't stop a train, and you can't stop the marching of time. They'll cut down the trees and name your new streets hickory, walnut, and pine. 3 scruples to a dram, boys. 8 drams to an ounce. 2 cups will make you a pint now, and the first one's on the house. The drunkard craves just another. The blind man blames the eye. The poor man dreams of riches, and a martyr prays to die. I don't need to read the papers or the tea leaves to understand this world's been shaved by a drunken barber's hand. I've drowned in the pool of young love, known the high and the hearse. I felt the heartbeat quicken at the sight of a lifted skirt. I've thrilled to the big sound, felt the rumble and the roar. Drove straight through the blackest night in a chase forevermore. And I don't need to read the papers or the tea leaves to understand that this world's been shaved by a drunken barber's hand. I rode 10,000 miles on a carousel horse of wood. We all end up where we started, get right back on if we could. So go ahead and make your confession to a washed up whiskey priest. I'll be putting my money down on the rough and slouching beast, 'cause I don't need to read the papers or the tea leaves to understand that this world's been shaved by a drunken barber's hand. I don't need to read the papers to know the heart of man. This world's been shaved by a drunken barber's hand. Oh, the old drunken barber's hand. Now, for all you scholars out there, I made 3 cultural references in that song, 3 cultural allusions. One to a famous piece of poetry, one to a novel, and one to a film from the 1940s. Did anybody pick up any of those allusions? No? I should have warned you, I guess. Let's see. William Butler Yeats's poem, The Second Coming was referenced there with the rough beast slouching towards Bethlehem. And Graham Greene's novel, The Power and the Glory, was referenced with the whiskey priest. I'd never heard of whiskey priest before I read that book. And the drunken barber, that came from out of the mouth of a hobo character from a movie, Frank Capra movie that came out in 1940 called Meet John Doe. He said, I don't need to listen to the radio. I don't need to read the papers. I know this world's been shaved by a drunken barber. And that's how I started the song, just with that quote. I carried it around me for years and years. I carried that quote around with me, and finally the world just gave me enough inspiration to finish the thought there. Well, Sherry had a pawn shop bound of gold, a sink full of dishes, and a love grown cold. Along came a boy, pretty as the devil. She took his hand, the whole thing unraveled. There's no turning round, it's broke down. Well, Billy took the ring, jammed it in his pocket, drove downtown and tried to hawk it. Down at the bottom of Lake Pontchartrain, there's a love note carved inside a wedding ring. Broke down, cracked and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. Broke down, torn and frayed, ain't nothing left you could give away. There's no turning round, it's broke down. Ain't no telling where love goes, maybe down where the Black River flows. All be coming back round, it's broke down. Baby in the backseat and another on the way. Sherry thinks of Billy at the end of every day. Spends her nights waiting for real life to start, listening to the sound of her double-crossed heart. Broke down, cracked and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. There's no turning round, it's broke down. On the other side of town, two lovers lie still, cigarette smoking on a windowsill. There's a picture locked up in an old suitcase. Billy closes his eyes, but he still sees her face. Broke down, cracked and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. Broke down, torn and frayed, ain't nothing left you could give away. There's no turning round, it's broke down. It's broke down. Thanks, y'all. Broke Down is a song that serves as a dividing line in my career between the totally obscure days and the relatively obscure days. And I've been relatively obscure now for about 21 years since Broke Down came out, and it's really a nice place to be, you know. It's a sold-out show in Houston, Texas on Saturday night. Doing all right, not complaining. Yeah. I wrote that song with my childhood friend Rod Picot. We met in the grade school, and in high school, we had a garage band called the Magic Rats. It was 1981. We played in his dad's garage. We played all the time. We could barely play. We were just learning how to play. Playing Springsteen covers and Tom Petty. We must have played about 12 Tom Petty songs, I think. Jay Giles Band, too, Rolling Stones, of course. And we hadn't written our own songs yet. We were just learning how to play other people's songs. And like I said, we played in Rod's father's garage. Old Dick Picot, bless his heart, let us take over his garage for a couple of years while we were in high school. He had to move all his lawn equipment, you know, over into one side so we could build a little drum riser for our drummer, who was 15, I think, at the time. And we played too late into the night. Old Dick Picot would just slam down the circuit breaker. That was his subtle hint of it was time for us to shut up for the night. Because he had to get up early in the morning and go down to the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard to work on nuclear submarines all day. My father was a welder down at the Navy Yard, up on the North Atlantic, where the winters come down hard. A union job, some overtime, nobody would complain. He went to work with humble pride through the snow and rain. Some things you're born to, some things you gotta learn. My father built his world on bone, muscle, and blood, and welding burns. After work there was some drinking. He'd get a little rough, just to knock the edges off, but he never got enough. He'd hang his coat up by the door and light a cigarette. Mama take his supper out and turn off the TV set. Some things you're born to, some things you gotta learn. My father built his world on bone, muscle, and blood, and welding burns. I can see him down at Lee's Mills Pond with the August sun warming her brown skin. He promised he'd take her away, but I think he knew even way back then, way back then. Mama said they're hiring, no need to graduate. Maybe your dad could make a call to the 788. I always thought I'd get away, I thought I would rise above. I don't remember anymore what I was dreaming of. Some things you're born to, some things you'd better learn. My father was born bone, muscle, and blood, and welding burns. Some things you're born to, some things you've gotta learn. My father built his world on bone, muscle, and blood, and welding burns. We'll do one more I wrote with old Rod Picot. We met on the school bus when we were in grade school. It was the first day of school. I remember tromping up the steps of the school bus after a school day and looking at the sea of faces, and I didn't recognize anyone I wanted to sit next to, but I saw one kid and I thought, that's the only other singer-songwriter kid on the bus. I'm going to sit next to him. Whoops, that was backwards. No, that's right. Rod tells the story slightly differently. He talks about watching me get on the bus when it was picking me up on the first day, when I was getting on the bus to go to school. And very different stories. But that was a long time ago. That was probably 1972, I think, is when we met. We started writing songs about 25 years ago. I think we average about a song a year. I think we've got 26 now. This one we wrote, it's called Black T-Shirt. I guess we were thinking about some of those tough kids on our bus there. Oh yeah, I worked up a few harmonica parts since I don't have a guitar player with me today, so this might be a good thing, it might not be a good thing, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. In your black T-shirt in the parking lot, in your drawn boots out back smoking pot, got a black eye and you wear it proud, Guns N' Roses way up loud. Just a little cut up on your brow. The principal said don't come back now. Every night it's a screaming shout. There's a new boyfriend and he wants you out. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through. You hitchhike to work and you hitchhike back. Hope you're home before the sky goes black. Cars go by, but they don't stop. These days no one picks you up. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through. the bridge to the Texaco. There's a guy works there you used to know. He knows a dealer off the interstate. Now he got a plan in a 38. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through. In your black t-shirt in the parking lot, in your drawn boots out back smoking pot. Hey, thanks. So I had sort of a father-son story with the welding burns, and that one's kind of a mama-son story. I'm going to do a daughter-father story called Flower Dresses, written by my friend Karen Poston. We're doing a family thing here, a family theme on Thanksgiving week. Well, she was leaning long-legged neath a bottle cap sign of the country store with a Coke and a smile. Coolest place to linger on an Arkansas day when she saw him passing by. He said, I'll take you back to Texas and my name is Ray, where the stars are bigger than the hit parade. And she stopped dreaming her dream, started dreaming his, traded in her childhood. She wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice, she looked real nice. Sometimes I think about my daddy and his Old Spice grin, a clean pressed shirt and a farmer's tan. She never asked him questions and he never told her lies, but I heard my mama cry some. And I was sitting in the hallway on the night he left, hugging my knees, holding my breath. I was never sure why, but he was damn sure gone. Thought it was maybe my fault. She wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice, she looked real nice. Now the evening is just starting to chill a bit. The fireflies over the field, and it brings to mind the glider where she used to sit, count the headlights on the highway. And I think of where you're going, where you are tonight, what you must have seen since I last saw those eyes. I know I can't win if I do not play, but this whole thing scares me. She wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice, she looked real nice. Yeah, she looked real nice, she looked real nice. So dads and daughters, moms and sons, fathers and sons. What I'm setting up here is a song that I wrote for my dad. But the reason I started doing this little family set is just before the pandemic, for the year or so before the pandemic, I noticed at my shows that tables were filled with parents bringing their grown children to the show. in these bars. Are there any parents and children at the show tonight? Yeah, right? Okay, we'll get one there. Is there one back there too? One over here? Parents and children? All right. Oh, great. All right, father and son, I see. Over here, is it parents and children? Over there? Yeah. See, I tell you, it happens every night now. Every night, 4 or 5 tables. That didn't happen before. My theory is that the parents heard the broke down record on the radio, heard the broke down song, and then bought the CD at Borders or something like that. Played it in the minivan over and over while the kids were strapped into the back seat in their car seats, right? Does that sound right? Okay, heads are nodding. Yep. It's pretty cool. It's the next phase of my career is what it is. But that's good to see. So, but I love seeing that connection because I bonded with my parents through their record collection, their love of music. They instilled it in me at a very early age. They let me play the record player. Actually, not the fancy one, but the down and dirty one, the kids' record player. But they let me play their records they collected from their teen years in the 50s. I had original Elvis records and Chuck Berry records and Hank Williams records from the 1950s and into the 60s with the Beatles and Ray Charles and Buddy Holly and just on and on. And you can tell that a 3-year-old kid was playing these records. I still have them because they're scratched to hell. They're just devastated. They don't sound very good at all, but I keep them out of for sentimental reasons. My dad bought this guitar in 1965 when I was a baby, played it around the house, played it for parties, and I was enthralled with it. He used to play songs for me when I was a little kid. It was a very special treat. I remember him playing this one for me. Well, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. I can't buy no beer. That was my favorite when I was about 4 years old. I was fascinated with this guy carrying beer around in a bucket. I just thought that was the craziest thing. Puff the Magic Dragon was another favorite, I have to admit. Anyway, about 30 years ago, I was playing in a bar band in Portland, Maine called the Moxie Men with a drummer and a bass player. I was playing real hard and breaking strings. And I asked my dad, I had a Yamaha guitar, and I asked my dad if I could borrow his old Gibson that was kind of tucked under the bed for a while there. He wasn't playing it much. He said, sure, I could borrow it for a while, and I never gave it back. And after a couple years, I wrote a song in his honor, and he accepted that as payment for the guitar. So I'll do that song for you now. Well, I don't know why I like to play guitar, riding around the country from bar to bar. I'm just living the dream that I always had. I guess I must have got it from my dad. You see, my daddy bought a Gibson, I was 1 year old. I listened to the songs and the stories he told. Well, I picked up that guitar when I was just a lad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. In the spring of '57, he turned 18, playing Elvis, Hank, Buddy, and Gene. I found his old records in the attic one day. My daddy was rockin' in the USA. Well, I grabbed that guitar and I left home one day. Daddy never seemed to play it anymore anyway. Said, take it, son, I can tell that you want it bad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. Well, I don't like the songs on the radio. They don't seem very true or real, you know. I like old Hank Williams, lonesome and sad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. In the spring of '57, he turned 18, playing Elvis, Hank, Buddy, and Gene. I found his old records in the attic one day. My daddy was rockin' in the USA. People say that I'm crazy and I'll never win, and I keep on rocking till my ship comes in. It's a lifelong dream, not a passing fad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. I'm still living the dream that he always had. I guess I must have got it from my dad. So my dad would come to shows and ask for that song. And he told me before he passed away, he said, Slaid, I really do think that's the best song you've ever written. He really meant it. It's not the best song I've ever written. But it is to him. So for years, I would take requests at shows, and that was fun, kind of exciting, kind of dangerous. Also kind of chaotic, and, you know, the loudmouth people always shouting over the more timid people. And, you know, someone would always want to hear a song that I hadn't done in a year, and I'd try to do it, and I'd forget the words. You've seen that happen to me, haven't you? Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's not fun at all, no. Get all red-faced and embarrassed. So I instituted an advance request-only policy last year, or a couple years ago. So if you're on the mailing list, you get an email from Karen, and you should sign up with the mailing list, because this is how you get your requests in. You get an email from Karen when we're coming to Houston next time, and you just hit reply on the email. You'll go right to Karen and tell her what show you're going to be at and what song you want to hear, who you want to dedicate it to you, who you want it dedicated to, and we'll put it in the set list, and I'll have time to Google the lyrics if I haven't done it in a long time. So Christy asked for this song last night at Sam's Burger Joint, and so I relearned it and played it last night, so I may as well play it tonight too. New love like a diamond, like a twinkling star, but it's a whole lot of heartache to get to where we are. 'Cause every man is a myth, every woman a dream. Watch your little heart get crushed and the truth gets in between. Every bond is a bond of sorrow, your blue sky turns gray. Everything you love will be taken away. Cry for your mama, cry for your dad, cry for everything you know they never had. Lying in the bed you made, but you were so young. Say a prayer, put your head down, gotta prove your mama wrong. There's no poison like a dream when it all comes undone. Don't you know that in the end you're not fooling anyone? And every bond is a bond of sorrow, every blue sky fades to gray. Everything you love will be taken away. Cry for your mama, cry for your dad, cry for everything you know they never had. You know they never had. Between the rum and the glass, between the teeth and the tongue, come December when the lights go out, you know you can't count on anyone. Between a dream and a lie, between hope and what's real, after so many years of let's work it out, you'd think there'd be some kind of a deal. Cry for your mama, cry for the dad, cry for everything you know they never had. Cry for your mama, cry for your dad, cry for everything you know they never had, the love they never had. Cry. Thanks so much. So we love doing these Thanksgiving week annual shows. We started it at the Saxon Pub in Austin, I think 17 years ago. We missed a couple years. We were in tour in Europe, and of course last year we missed. Then we added the Mucky Duck maybe 9 or 10 years ago maybe, and Sam's Burger Joint 7 years ago. And we're going to do Galveston tomorrow for the first time. We'll see if that turns into an annual thing. Well, we'll see how it goes first, yeah. But the reason I love doing these is because Thanksgiving is a very special holiday for me and Karen. We were in our early, mid-20s, having grown up in Maine. I was starting my music career in little tiny Portland, Maine, and I knew I had to set out to a big city to advance my career. And, you know, New York was too big, and LA was too far away, and Minneapolis was too cold, and Seattle was too wet, and Nashville was too commercial, and Athens was kind of played out. So it was looking like Austin was the place to be, and it turned out we were right. It was a good move. But it was all throughout the year of 1991, we prepared ourselves and saved money for the big move. I put out my very first release, a cassette tape called The Promise. Don't try to find it. It's not available anymore. It was a work in progress, sort of. I was just learning how to sing. Anyway, we had Thanksgiving with our families in 1991, and the day after, we loaded up a trailer behind our 74 Dodge Dart Sport and headed to Texas the day after Thanksgiving. And so that's why this is such a special time for us. And when we moved to Texas, we had really no idea what we were getting into. We didn't know anybody in Texas, really. We didn't know what we were getting into. We didn't know how to smoke a brisket. We didn't know how to drink tequila properly. We didn't know how to make Pico de Gallo. Never even heard of the stuff. And thankfully, we fell under the tutelage of this family headed by Jack Maxey, who was kind of a vagabond character who would travel around the country all year in a motorhome and then wind up at his family's place outside of Austin, well, in Austin at the time. And he'd tell stories about his travels, and the family would get together, and they took us under their wing, and they taught us all these things. And after we spent our first year in Texas with this family, they invited us to their annual New Year's Day swim. You know where it is, right? Barton Springs, yeah. And it was such an honor. And I swam with them, and we went out to the parking lot where we had the ceremonial sip of tequila with lime and salt. And then they bundled me up in the back of a car and drove me up to the Capitol steps. And I went up the steps with Jack Maxey, and he uttered a few oaths over me and declared me a naturalized Texas citizen. It was a very special moment. Jack Maxey was a real character, storyteller. He passed away about, first of all, the following summer we held a clam bake in his honor in Maine. He drove all the way up to Maine. We partied with him up there. He passed away about 10 years later, about 20 years ago. And so I wrote this song, which is a eulogy for old Jack Maxey. Well, you might think there's nothing left but ashes in a box on a table at Crosby's bar. But there's more than meets the eye. You didn't leave us when you died. Your spirit will live on in what we do and who we are. Oh, and Betty's gonna tell us stories about the family. Daughter Susan is gonna sing your favorite song. Cousin Perry will spend the day telling tales of the blue and gray. And the Cajun will keep picking all night long. We'll be putting down the brisket and tequila down in Kerrville with the seekers of the shade. 'Cause a piece of you lives on, not only in this song, but in all the lives you touched and every friendship that you made. We're gonna go up to Maine and eat some clams and lobsters, bite the worm down in sunny Cancun Bay. We'll be home by Christmas Eve, telling tales you won't believe, and we'll swim in Barton Springs on New Year's Day. Uncle Greg's gonna walk the aisles up at Carlisle, bringing smiles just like you used to do. Uncle Dave's got a whiskey toast. I'll be driving from coast to coast, and your smiling face will live on in the heart of widows who are. We're gonna jump across the mighty Mississippi. Way up north where it's just a little stream. Brother Bill's gonna keep an eye on the kin you left behind. For you taught us how to live and you showed us how to dream. We're gonna go up to Maine and eat some clams and lobsters. Bite the worm down in sunny Cancun Bay. We'll be home by Christmas Eve, telling tales you won't believe. And we'll swim in Barton Springs on New Year's Day. All right, everybody now. Yeah, we're gonna go up to Maine and suck on the heads of lobsters. Like a Cajun going home to Frenchman Bay. We'll be home by Christmas Eve, telling tales you won't believe. And we'll swim in Barton Springs on New Year's Day. Yeah. Well, the other favorite part about the Thanksgiving week songs is when I pull out the old Christmas chestnuts. We'll do one of them now. This song goes way back to my childhood. Song that I would see on TV on a Christmas TV special. Now this is only on once a year, and if you missed it, too bad. There's no streaming, there's no DVDs, there's no VCRs, there's no cable, there's no color actually in my house. When I first heard this song, just a little black and white TV. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Yep, I learned all 6 verses. Here we go. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You've got termites in your smile. You've got all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful thoughts. Your heart's a dead tomato washed with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. You're a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce. You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with a nauseous super nos. You're a crooked jerky jockey and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of rubbish imaginable. Mangled up, entangled up nuts. Easy for me to say. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The 3 words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, sing along now. Stink, stank, stunk. Oh, isn't that a great song? Man. I wonder if Karen, yes, got one more story to tell about the pandemic. You know, Karen books all the shows, And 2 years ago, she started booking 2020, and she got a jump on it and booked an amazing, a beautiful, elegant tour. All the shows we wanted. The drives weren't too bad in between them. We had a West Coast tour, an East Coast tour, a Florida festival tour. I think we're talking about a Midwest too. All those gigs, put them all up on the website. They were supposed to start on the second week of March. And we sat there reading the news, all trepidatious, reading the news, all not knowing. It's so hard not knowing. But of course, we eventually just took them all down and had to cancel them all, reschedule them all. We said, what are we going to do with ourselves? Well, we did some live streams. You heard about that. We embarked on a very time-consuming project because we had a lot of time on our hands. I typed up in the computer about, 43 songs, something like that? 43 of the most popular songs from my career. I put them in a book form, and I put little chord changes over every syllable, exactly where you're supposed to change chords. Why don't you bring it up here? Maybe Karen will give a little demonstration here. Behind door number 1. Little Vanna White there. Karen bought herself a brand new laser printer and a book binder, so we make them all in our living room. Thank you, Karen. Hand for Karen Cleaves. So I made little chord charts. I found a thing online, and I generate little guitar chord finger charts. You can play the songs just like I play them on the records. And we made it a ring binder so you can lay it flat on your table while you're singing. You don't have to hold it down with one thumb, or some songbooks they snap shut, and so you got to break the spine of them to keep them open. A lot of thought went into this, and we started selling them in January, and they've been a big hit, so we're selling them at the merch booth. I know people don't buy CDs anymore. We get a closet full of CDs. I don't think we're going to have those for a long time. Okay, I get it. I haven't bought a CD in a long time myself. So we got these for sale, and I've got a Sharpie in my pocket. I'll stand outside after the show and sign it for if you want to get one. So announcement there. And let's see. I'm pretty sure this next song is in there. One I wrote with the great Adam Carroll. We got some Adam Carroll fans out there? Yeah. All right. Song called Hard to Believe. We got old-time bars still standing on downtown city streets. Old ladies serving drinks inside with no color in their cheeks. Listening to a haggard song, you can put your old blue collar on. Oh, Milwaukee, on Christmas Eve, it's hard to believe. Street girls hop from foot to foot trying to keep warm, trying to pay down a few bills before the next big storm. On a corner, trembling in the wind, amazed at the mess they're in, wiping their noses on their sleeve. It's hard to believe. Well, I swore I'd leave the day they knocked that old smokestack down. There's a guy I need to talk to before I quit this town. Driving past the prison yard, still got my old Teamster's card, still hoping for my reprieve. It's hard to believe. When I looked into her smiling eyes, I saw a dream so fine, like the spirit of Chicago on a lonesome old railroad line. I would have gone with her that day, I just watched her as she drove away. I guess one of us had to leave. It's hard to believe. Here comes another blown-up kid from over there, making the whole world safe for the billionaires. The same old swindle hides behind a fresh new coat of lies. This is no time to be naive, it's hard to believe. We got old-time bars still standing on downtown city streets. Old ladies serving drinks inside with no color in their cheeks. Listening to a haggard song, you can put your old blue collar on. It's another New Year's Eve, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. Oh, thanks. So we had a gig in Dallas about 2 weeks ago on the beginning of the tour. It started in Maine, and we went all the way down the East Coast and across the Gulf Coast to Dallas. A couple days before the show, I got a message from an Afghanistan war vet. He asked that if he would bring his, if he could bring his helmet to the show so I could sign his helmet for him. That's the first for me, to sign a military helmet. So of course I told him I would be honored to do that, and we had a nice little chat before the show, and I realized in talking to him and reading some things he sent me that he's exactly the person I wrote this song for 7 or 8 years ago, and I'm so glad he found it. I was writing songs with the Woody Guthrie spirit. Woody Guthrie said a folk singer's job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Hard times coming home now, can't get your feet on the ground. Got some issues and no one wants you around. Barely sleeping and you can't get through to the VA on the phone. No one's hiring and no one wants to give you a loan. And everyone else is carrying on just like they've always done before. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. Flashback to Fallujah, lost another best friend. 3 tours of duty and you're wondering when it's all gonna end. Bodies broken and bones shattered, blood and dust in your mouth. Getting weary but you're running with the few and the proud. Sometimes you wonder why you went, you don't wonder what you stayed on for. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. Men go off to war for 100 reasons, but they all come home with the same demons. Some you can put at bay for a while, some will put you to the floor. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. The bedspread is fraying, faded and tearing apart. 2 strangers holding each other in the dark. Tell me, what were you dreaming? How did you think it would end? How many heroes are scattered out into the wind? And all the happily ever afters turn to broken dishes and slamming doors. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. So on the Dallas show, we did the world premiere of this new song. Wranglin' Ron Coy, he helped me with that last one, and he helped me with the new one here. You heard me talk about Wranglin' Ron before? Yeah, he shows up in a lot of songs, sometimes on purpose and sometimes without him even knowing it. But this one, last time I saw Wranglin', it was just before the pandemic, about 2 years ago. He was headed off to Terlingua. Anybody here ever hang out in Terlingua? That's a special place. He was headed to Terlingua to help his buddy build a laundromat/dance hall. And I think he said they did open it, but there was some family feud going on, and it closed down after a while. Or, I don't know. He left that project pretty quickly after. But he started running around with some Terlingua characters And that's where this song came from. It's called the Terlingua Chili Queen. Sandy worked in Dallas in an office in the sky, chatting up the oil men, her hair piled up high. Bought designer clothes at the Galleria Mall, dancing in deep Ellum, she was fairest of them all. The husbands in the houses, they come and then they go, and when the dust would settle, she'd be right back on her own. If you wanna get ahead, you got to do the shuck and jive, 'cause every day it's out of bed and on a 35, putting on mascara in the rear view mirror. In the backseat of her mind, there's a little flash of fear. Is this the life she wanted when she was a little girl, or is there something more out in the great big world? She started feeling crazy, she started thinking wild. She wondered what would happen if she drove 600 miles. She planned her getaway, she had the motive and the means. That's how a beaten down Dallas gal became the chili queen. After 22 many years chasing wedding rings, she traded in her Lexus, sold off all her things. Goodbye to fancy dinners, goodbye to therapy. She headed west on 20 with a chili recipe. On the dash, a pack of Salems and a half a pint of gin, not caring if she'd ever see the Metroplex again. No, she drove all through the night toward that little border town. It's time for starting over, no time for backing down. Sunrise in Terlingua on the truck stop cafe. That's how a beaten down Dallas gal became the chili queen. Yeah. She found a place in Agua Fria with a kitchen out the back. Bought some pots and pans and she started to relax, stirring in and tasting out in the open air. Sunshine on her skin, desert breezes in her hair. She won the chili cook-off, went off to celebrate. She's dancing at La Kiva like she's about to levitate. She kissed a river rat, they started singing, drinking songs. Said, I'm here for a good time, I'm not here for long. Now they're headed for the desert in search of mescaline. That's how a beaten down Dallas gal became the chili queen. She drove all through the night toward that little border town. It's time for starting over, no time for backing down. She's dancing at the starlight like she was 17. That's how a beaten down Dallas gal became the chili queen. Yeah, all right. That's a fun song, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Oh boy, they love that song in Dallas, I'll tell you. A little name dropping. Got everything but Dealey Plaza in there. I might have to write another verse. Well, let's see. I have not done a workplace disaster song in this set yet, so let's see. Lady lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. She lives in the old place all alone, keeps in touch with neighbors by the phone, grows roses on the graves of her firstborn and his father, and the coal trucks never bothered her. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. A cotton dress and satin shoes, Indian summer sun, dressed in amber hues, spending time with a coal miner's son to an old-time fiddle tune. Months blew by just like a breeze that year. They wed in June, and by the fall the boy was here. Word come down from Big Stone, there's a fire in the mine, and 11 men they couldn't find. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. I saw on the news that there was a mining disaster in Siberia a couple days ago. 59 people died, I think. Oh, awful. Amazing that that's still happening all these years later. Hope there's not some Lydia out there that lost both her husband and her child in the latest one. She watched him pull him from the hole. The overalls he wore were blackened by the smoke. Lydia twice had had this dream, and twice it had come true. And when she saw his father's boots, she knew. Oh, Lydia, let him go. The boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. Lydia lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. Well, in this Thanksgiving week, I'm thankful that the Mucky Duck is still here after, 30 years, 25 years? Through hurricanes and floods and break-ins and a pandemic. They survived it. They worked really hard, Rusty and Teresa and their staff. And Teresa asked to hear this song. I'm not sure why she asked to hear this song, but she wanted to hear this one. For you, I give up all my time, searching for the perfect rhyme. And this is one that certainly perplexes. For you, I would spend all my days thinking up all the crazy ways I love you, even more than I love Texas. You got Bel Air class, Dallas style, Austin soul, and a Luca box smile. For you, I'd trade my truck in for a Lexus. You smell as sweet as the piney woods. I'd marry you if I thought I could. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb on my wire, the spark in my campfire. There's no brighter star in all the multiplexes. I love this state, you know I do, but the best thing in this state is you. I love you even more than I love Texas. Oh, dang it. Got a harp solo in this one. I worked it all up. I'm gonna forgot to put it on. How did that go? No, that's not right. lips as sharp as a prickly pear. Your sun shines in your golden hair. Your smile hits me right in the solar plexus. Skin is soft as early morning rain. Temper like a Gulf Coast hurricane. I love you even more than I love Texas. From the monkey duck to the broken spoke, you know this state like an old cowpoke. You know where all the tastiest Tex-Mex is. You got Matt Sando on the radio playing Robert Earl and Billy Joe. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb on my wire, the spark in my campfire. Let's head out west where nobody can text us. I promise you I'll never cheat, or you can throw me out in the old mesquite. I love you even more than I love Texas. And if you make me leave this state, well, I'll groan, but I won't hesitate. 'Cause I love you even more than I love Texas. Oh, Ludi, oh, Ludi. I'll stay in Texas for one more song. Up at Henry's Bar and Grill on the north side of town, I saw a man reach up to heaven and pull a song on down to a smoke-filled room of misfits, young and old and brave and small. And with the laughing eyes of the Buddha, he shared it with us all. And every soul in that roadhouse felt the power of his song. Through life's joys and sorrows, he brought us together as one. They called him God's own Yodeler, the Pavarotti of the plains. There's no bigger voice in Texas. Don Walser was his name. He was raised out in La Mesa, just a boy when his mama died. With daddy at the mill all night in that empty house, he cried. He'd climb up in the oak tree to sing his broken heart. The neighbors gathered in the yard, listening in the dark, singing songs about West Texas, cowboys and old John Deeres, rodeos and drive-ins, and the thrill of teenage years. They called him God's own Yodeler, the Pavarotti of the plains. There's no bigger voice in Texas. Don Walser was his name. Yodeler, 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 yodeler. From the honky-tonks and dance halls to the Grand Old Opry, Don Walser brought a smile to every fan who came to see. Now it's oxygen and wheelchairs and trips to the docks in town. His days kept getting longer. He knew he was glory bound. My friend, your work is done here, and I'd say you did it well. Your voice rings down from heaven all the way to the devil himself. And now you're God's own Yodeler, high above the Texas plains. We miss you here in Austin. With love we speak your name. Yodeler, 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 yodeler. Hodle, 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 dee, 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 dee. Yep. I sure do miss Don Walser. Anybody here, you ever get to see Don Walser in the flesh? And plenty of it, his band used to say. The abdominal showman, they used to call him. So some people never got to see Don Walser play. I'm so sorry for you. Well, I'm going to do one of his songs because they're great. He wrote this song with Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel. Don Walser, he played with the Pure Texas Band, and they did mostly, well, he said we'd play top 40 country music, the top country music of the 1940s. So he played a lot of old favorites, honky-tonk songs, and he wrote a bunch of really great songs, including this one called Texas Top Hand. And I do this song about half as good as Don Walser. Just picture this song being twice as good. That's what Don Walser was. I was 12 years old when I busted my first Bronco in the Mesa, Texas, don't you know? I've been working ever since from a saddle that they give me down in Fort Worth at the Fat Stock Rodeo. I can do more from a saddle than I can from my old pickup, and my horse is better company, I know. I'm a Texas top end, and I bet my bottom dollar that I'll wind up in the money at this year's rodeo. I'm a Texas top end, I'm the #1 man when it comes to matters of an old cowhide. I can ride 'em, I can break 'em, and on Friday I'll be making my way into town to dance with some old cowboy band. Oh, Ludi, 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 oh. Twice as good. That was Don Walser. A couple steps higher, a couple clicks quicker. I can hear them cattle lowing as I play my old guitar and run my fingers over them old rusty strings. They're beginning to sound funny. Guess I'll take some drinking money and buy another set this coming spring. There's a full moon on the rise as we turn in for the evening, and the prairie is as pretty as can be. There ain't no better life than the life of a cowboy. It's as close as you can get to being wild and living free. I'm a Texas top and I'm the #1 man when it comes to matters of an old cowhide. I can ride 'em, I can break 'em in. On Friday I'll be making my way into town to dance with the Don Walser band. Oh, Ludi, oh, Ludi, oh, Ludi, oh, Ludi, oh, Ludi, oh, Imagine that, twice as good, man, twice as fast, faster, higher, with a big smile on his face like he was singing Mary Had a Little Lamb. He was one of a kind. Well, that just about knocked the wind out of my sails. I see the staff passing out checks. I guess it's time for me to wrap this show up here. Oh, well, I got one more for you here. This is a song that Ray Wally Hubbard heard years ago, and he described it as a prayer, and I didn't write it as a prayer, not knowingly, but he's kind of right. It is a little, it's asking for grace. It's asking for one good year, which we all need right now. It's New Year's Day, just like the day before. Same old skies of gray, same empty bottles on the floor. Another year gone by, and I'm thinking once again, how can I take this losing hand and somehow win? Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, and grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can never chase him and carry him down. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. I'm burning oil, engines running rough, I drive from job to job, but it's never enough. I can't find the will to just up and get away. Some kind of chains holding me down to make me stay. Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, but grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can devil a man, chase him and carry him down. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. It's a bitter wind in your face every day. It's the little sins that wear your soul away. When you start giving in, where did the promises all go? Will your darkest hour run a blank check on your soul? Sing along if you like. Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, I've been chasing grace, but grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can devil a man, a good one can turn him around. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. Just give me one good year. Thank you all so much for waiting for this show all this time and coming out to the Mucky Duck in Houston. I want to thank Lee on the soundboard doing a fine job tonight. Teresa doing the video in the back room. She got a studio back there or something. I see the on-air light went off. She's going to roll some credits apparently. And if you like, I could do one more song. Just as a little... I'm going to do one of my very favorite holiday songs. I'm sure 90% of you know it. If you don't know it, you're going to fall in love with it tonight here, I think, and start singing it every Christmas time.